Thank you, Hans. I have a question from Chelsea Harvey of E&E News. Can you comment on the extended carbon budget in this report compared to the budget in AR5? That's the fifth assessment report. What contributed to that decision, and to what extent is the carbon budget for 1.5 degrees still debated among scientists or subject to uncertainty? I'll ask Valerie to take that one.
Thank you. So the report is providing an update of the estimated remaining carbon budget compatible with limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. It relies on advanced methodologies to account for the current level of warming, as well as to account for the effect of non-CO2 factors, which also affects the level of global warming as well as air quality. So the report is very clear on the current understanding of the remaining carbon budgets, the sources of uncertainties, including possible outgassing of greenhouse gases due to permafrost thawing during the course of the century. And the next IPCC main assessment report will revisit new knowledge in the coming years, based on updated methods again. And that's how science advances.
Thank you. I have a question from Ethan, who describes himself as Urbana, Illinois, but I'm going to take the question anyway, because it's an interesting one. What consumer aspects does the report tackle? What lifestyle changes do people have to make to reduce their footprint on the climate? And I think that's for Valerie too.
It's an important question. We've talked about governments, but the report is also quite clear that everyone has means to act related to daily choices. The report clearly shows that behavior and lifestyles are important elements of the feasibility of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. It's also very clear that in pathways that optimize the benefits for sustainability, for instance, they are the pathways with low energy demand. There are also elements related to diets and the lowest imprint in greenhouse gases associated with diets, which are important elements of feasibility.
Thank you, Valerie. From Audrey Tan of the Straits Times in Singapore, existing literature, Stern 2007, has shown that deforestation was responsible for more than 18% of global emissions. Have recent findings shown which would be more significant in reducing emissions, preventing deforestation or moving away from fossil fuels? Would Shukla want to take that one?
Although I am not really an expert on the forestry, but when I say that the forestry is very central to the report in terms of the ambitions which are shown by the governments, not only on the mitigation side of the ambition, but also the ambitions on the sustainable development, which are very closely connected with the forestation. Well, we find that the findings that we have in the report very much shows that well the decreasing trend of deforestation is sustainable, is feasible, such, and also combined with the mitigation options, the array of that, maybe this is one of the major findings with of this report.
Thank you, Valerie.
Yes, we've talked previously also about carbon dioxide removal, and the report has an important finding that measures such as the restoration of natural ecosystems and soil carbon sequestration can provide benefits for improved biodiversity, soil quality, as well as local food security. So these are important findings of the report related to land use.
Thank you. Gentleman in the front row, could you say who you are, please, when you get the microphone? Microphone, please.
Thank you. Marlo Hood with Agence France Presse. Valerie, you mentioned that the report quantifies a possible impact of permafrost melting on the carbon budget. Is that the first time that no? All right, I'll let you correct me. Let me ask my question anyhow. Is that the first time that Earth system feedback has been quantified in an IPCC report, and how difficult is it in general to quantify those feedbacks within climate models? And will you be able to do more of that in the future?
So the report provides an estimated amount of greenhouse gas emissions associated with permafrost thawing that is associated with elements of uncertainty related to remaining carbon budgets. But I would like to be very clear that the key message of the report is that if you would like to stabilize global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, the key message is that net CO2 emissions at the global scale must reach zero by 2050, and that's the most important part of the most important finding of the report.
Any other questions in the room at the moment?